This is the third video for the Super Battle Golf custom maps tutorial. In this one we'll be getting to the meat of it, which is actually creating custom maps. So what I've done here, as before, from holes, I've just copied a random one. I did terraces for this, and I renamed it to test hole 2. That's all I've done on this one so far. So, of course, as before, I have to go to tools, and then I need to fix unassigned shaders in the open scene, so all of those will not be pink. I need to relink the localization in the scene. Down in the bottom left, you can see fixed 174. And then the final thing that I have to do is I have to go to the terrain. Then I need to go down to the materials and set the material to default terrain standard again, right here. Then I'm going to click the X here to ungray everything because it's still in search mode. And that is going to show the level as normal. Now you can see there's a lot of white down below here. So if I click it, that's going to go to fog plane, or you can search for it. It may also be called ocean, depending on what level you copied. This is just the bottom out of bounds barrier. So for now, I'm going to turn that off. I'm going to need to turn it back on for exporting, but I'm going to turn it off for now just to make things more visible. What we can also do is this here. This is the level bounds. I'm also going to just hide that for now just to show off the level. You can see everything is here. Now, there's a ton of decorations and other stuff, but we want to make a new level. So the first thing I'm going to do is come over to the terrain, and I'm going to go to the paint one, the second option, and I'm going to paint holes, because we have to patch where the original hole is on the green before. So now I hold shift and then left click to retexture over the hole. And then from there, I'm going to go to set height. And then from set height, I'm going to click flatten all. This is going to make the terrain completely 2D, as you can see down here below. And now we just have all of these decorations. So now I'm going to delete all these decorations since we want to start over fresh. Now that all the decorations are gone, which you can do by just clicking them and deleting them, but the easiest way is to just come over here and delete them out here. I got rid of all the decorations, but there's also these ball out of bounds triggers and under ridge out of bounds. I just wanted to show this off because I thought some people might look at these and not know whether to get rid of them or not. If you click them, you can just see where the out of bounds trigger is. It's just this small rectangle, so this is completely unnecessary for us. Same with all of these ones. So all of these various triggers we're going to get rid of because the only ones that we care about right now is the big at the bottom of the map trigger, as well as under the manager container, the level bounds. Those are the only two that we need. So now that we have this, we can go to the terrain, and if we change this to paint texture, what we can now do is I'm just going to choose out of bounds, paint over all of this with a large brush, just so we have a fresh terrain to work with. Now that we have this, we're going to create some basic, and I mean basic terrain. I'm going to make my brush size a lot smaller. We'll go maybe 50. And instead of paint texture, we're going to go to set height. I'm going to make mine just 20. And now the opacity is going to determine like how much it actually paints of what you're trying to do. I'm going to have 100 because I just want a strip of 20 tall grass here. Of course, you can do whatever you want with this. This is just going to be my example to make it simple. When you're painting, of course, you're going to notice you're going to have some rough edges like this here, and especially with the paint height brush, you're going to have stuff like this. So what I'm going to do is change it from set height to smooth height. And on smooth height, the higher the opacity, the more it's going to melt. So I'm going to go somewhere in the middle, like 50, and I just want to blend all of this together. As you can see, it's still kind of bumpy. Let's make it melt a lot more. You just go over that a lot, and that's going to smooth out your terrain. So I could go ahead and do this on all of it, but I'm not going to for now. The next step, once you have your terrain, is to actually color it how it should be. So what I'm going to do is change this to paint texture, and then from here, I'm just going to throw some fairway down. And this is all out of bounds. Maybe let's throw a little rough. Maybe just like this. This doesn't matter. This is just how it looks. You can of course style this to your liking. And then I'm going to throw my green right here, just a nice circle. The important part though is where you want your hole, you're going to need to change this to paint holes. And the brush size should be 2. And then just use the basic circle brush and just click once where you want your hole. You're going to see it's going to do something like this. We just need a complete square of this. If you do it like this, sometimes it'll do too much, like this. If you just, again, just hold shift and you can just paint over what you need until you get to your square. So since we just did this, I'm going to head over here, minimize manager container, and I'm going to find my hole. Now for now, I'm going to turn this on so we can actually see where it is, which is going to be somewhere around here. Mine's over there. You can drag with these, or if you know where in space you're trying to put it, you can just change these. Like I'm gonna change this to 30. I know I painted this at 20 height, so especially for where you're putting the hole, make sure you use the set height brush on it at the end. So since I know this is 20, I'm gonna make my hole at Y level 20, so it lines up properly with the ground. And now I'm just gonna drag it over and align this in the middle. And then from there, I can disable my hole again, because these get turned on when the game actually loads in. So then now we need our tee boxes. These are just called teeing platform. These ones are going to be slightly trickier because if you notice after you turn it on, you're not going to be able to move it correctly. It's not going to want to move correctly. So make sure you leave these together for now. What we have to do is in the platform, we need to expand it, and you'll see the box collider, which is the green bit where the actual collision is, and the mesh platform, what it looks like, aren't going to want to, the mesh platform specifically is not going to want to move. You'll see on the top right that the Y level is moving, but the actual platform's not. This is because they are on combined meshes. Because when the scene is created, everything is baked into one really big mesh to make it super simple for the game to run. So that's one downside of the custom maps is they're going to run a little slower because of this. But we can't use the combined mesh for this. So what we're going to do is we're just going to look up the platform mesh. Right here we have Golf Platform 2 under the Meshes folder, and we have Golf Platform 3. With Platform 3, it has a special collider because the collider is a lot simpler than what it looks like to make the game run better. But since this is Platform 2, all we have to do on these is, if you're not changing what the actual platform type is just drag the mesh into the correct spot. So this is Platform 2, we want the Platform 2 mesh, and drop that there. Now, make sure you don't move this here, because that's going to screw some things up. This has to stay at straight zeros for position rotation and 1 for scale. Back here on the left, you can collapse this again and click the main teeing platform object so everything moves together. Just make sure when you are moving the teeing platforms, if you just click it, it's going to go to the mesh one, and that's going to desync it from the collider. So if I undo this, or I can just set it here, set this to 0 in the mesh. Make sure you're clicking it from the object hierarchy on the left here. That way they move together. There we go. Now I've just thrown my tee boxes approximately where I want them. So I'm going to turn all of them off and collapse them all again. So now that we have the T's set up and we have the hole set up, the next thing we're going to do is get our checkpoints. As you can see, there's a few checkpoints on the left here already. These, you don't have to do like anything really with them. You can just copy and paste them and drag them to where you want. You can also turn it on to just show what that's going to hit. So I'm going to throw mine, let's say here. I'll add the other two. So now I have all three of my checkpoints, or I should be clicking them from here so I can see the entire object. Got all three of these guys. If I wanted more, I could just copy and paste, and I'd have another one. These are pretty simple. So I'm going to turn these off again. And then of course, the last interactive element for every level is we're going to get our item spawners, which if you open this up, you'll see all of the spawners in it. If you check the box, you can see them. These are the same, just copy and paste if you want more. Delete them if you don't want them. Drag them around. So I'm just going to put that one there and leave the rest where they are. Make sure I turn this off again. So now we have every element where we want it. The last couple things is now we need our out of bounds. So this fog plane or ocean, depending on what level you copied before, I'm going to turn this back on and I'm just going to lower this just a bit to where I want it. You can drag this around however you want. I'm going to put my out of bounds right here. So now if I were making a full level, I would go over here and I would put out of bounds texturing from the terrain on everything below this plane. There is also under manager container, bounds manager, level bounds. So this, if you have all of the scripts, so if you have the tools in the build, you should also have a script for when you have this selected. Over here, there should be an activate spline context. This will not be there if you do not have all of the scripts provided from the kit. So if you activate this, that's going to add a lot more of these gizmos, as they're called. So what we can do now is drag these roughly to where we want the bounds of our level. So I'm going to push that one up a bit, pull this in, here, here, this guy here, pull him in, push this one left a bit, and then every time we want to reset the mesh here, we're going to click generate mesh. You can also change the height of it if you're making a really tall level for whatever reason. Name doesn't matter since it's being completely linked. And you can also change the resolution. So if you need like pinpoint edges, you can do this here, but I would recommend just leaving it at the default 50 for the mesh. Then of course, once you do this, you can play around with it. Oh, this is entirely too high. Going to drag the center one, drag all of this down. And then you can play around with these again. Like I'm going to pull this in, then generate a new mesh. Nope, I don't want that. I'm going to put it back, generate new mesh. And you can do that as much as you need to. If you don't have enough points here, you can go over to the splines here and you'll see under knots, we have 8. I'm just going to click add one. That's going to add a knot somewhere. Let's get rid of it again. Where is it? Oh, it's right here on top of this other one. So you can also manually edit the positions of these, but it's just easier using the script. So now that we have a new one here, I'm going to drag this down. This might be out of order. This might completely screwed up. Let's find out. We're going to generate mesh. Yep. So I see I have these out of order because we have 8 here. So these just need to be flipped, and this was, I don't know, 7 or something. So there is an order to them. It is just drawing a path around them. So if I have it out of order, it's going to cross the path. So now I can get a little bit finer with these. You can do this as much as you want. This isn't going to affect the game really. Uh, so now that you have this, I'm going to go back and turn my fog plane on. And now I have almost a complete level. There's only one thing we're missing that is quite important. We need to have our decorations. So to get decorations, I'm going to save this scene, first of all, and then I'm going to go back to my assets folder. I'm going to go to, where is it? Prefabs. And I made a new folder called game objects. So go ahead and create that here. And I've already done this once just to have it to show that this is how you actually get them. So now I have my trees. But what we're going to do is head to a different scene that's already in the game. Let's go to, how about jungle? And I don't think jungle has any of them. Nope. This is one issue that we haven't cracked yet, is it's the same issue with the meshes, is that you can't really move these because it only moves the collider because the meshes are baked. And unfortunately, if I go to type mesh and I look up tree, you'll see there's only really the evergreen tree in here since it was used in the snow maps and updated. But if I go to one that has an evergreen tree, like maybe snow 2, let me make this look a little bit better. Fix the unassigned shaders. And I go to a tree like this, the evergreen tree tall, and I head to this here. I'm going to go back to my game objects one here for now. But we have the different meshes that need to be relinked here. Same thing, the combined mesh, not allowed. So if I go to T:mesh for mesh types, and I look up tree, we have evergreen tree tall lod 1. So this is the lod 1. We are going to put that there. And if we go to the, let's see here, where else do we have one? It's one of these two. It's since it doesn't have the lod on it, that's lod 0, so uh no like dumbing down the mesh for when it's far. Is that going to be this one? No, that's the small one. So is it this one? Yes, there we go. And lod 2, I'm not even seeing a lod 2. So since there's not one, we're just going to use lod 1 again, which is U, tall, right here. And then the colliders don't have any broken meshes on them. As you can see, there is a mesh, but it's not the combined one. So now that I have this working, I'm going to cancel my search and then just drag and drop this guy into my prefab folder. So now I can rename it, of course, which I'm going to do real quick actually. We have evergreen tree snow. So now I'm going to head back to my scene. Oh, wrong one. Test hole 2. And I'm going to head back over here to my prefabs folder, game objects, and now I can place in the snowy evergreen trees. So Lod 2 is quite far away, so you shouldn't have to worry about it. That is going to make it slightly worse performance for things with this. For things like the bridges and boulders and small bushes, you can still do the exact same process though, because it just seems to be the trees that are missing. So all of these boulders here, you can do anything in type mesh that you can find. As long as you can find it there, you're good. But if I do this and I search like bush, for example, there is the bush mesh. So if I were to come over to this one here, let's just use this, which is bush green. From here, it's the same thing. This mesh is the combined mesh, so I'm going to replace it. colliders, there's nothing there, and the ambient butterflies you don't have to worry about. So that means now I'm just going to do it in the main folder because just as an example, you can take that and take that as your prefab, and then you can place it. If you wanted to do things like the groups of bushes, like this here, you can do the exact same thing that they do. Like I can just right click if it would let me, or I'll just click here. I'm going to create empty. I'm just going to call this bush pair, and then I can take anything, put it into here, open this up. It's just this one. I'm going to add a second one right here next to it. Drag this in as well. Take the scale, make this one smaller. Drag that over there. And then with this bush pair, I can then take that and turn it into a prefab as well. And then place that down, like so.